Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a pretty concerning prediction from Scott Ritter that a U.S. or Israeli military strike against Iran isn't just possible, but maybe even imminent.
Yeah, and we're going to unpack his analysis, look at the recent, escalations, the context, and try to gauge how credible this warning really is without just jumping into alarmism.
Right. And Ritter, he's got that background, former UN weapons inspector.
Yeah.
Gives him a certain perspective, doesn't it?
It does, definitely insider knowledge, but it's fair to say some of his past predictions have been, well, debated, so we need a balanced view.
Absolutely. And the trigger for this warning seems pretty clear, that recent tit-for-tat between Israel and Iran.
Exactly. Israel's strike on the Damascus consulate back in April 24, then Iran's direct retaliation, and those reports about sabotage at Intins, it's undeniably ramped up the tension. It feels different.
Okay, so let's unpack Ritter's core argument. He's essentially saying Iran is at serious, immediate risk. We're talking a potentially devastating strike, right? Targeting nuclear sites, military stuff.
Yeah. And maybe even aiming to destabilize the regime itself. He points to what he sees as vulnerabilities. Things like Iran's air defenses perhaps being outdated.
And the economy too, right? I saw figures mentioning inflation nearing 50%. That's huge.
It is. Plus, those recent mass protests, Ritter might see those as signs of internal fragility, pressures from political repression and economic hardship building up.
So if an attack were to happen, how might it look? The sources mention things like B-2 stealth bombers.
Right, the kind of assets the U.S. or Israel might use for deep penetration strikes. Cyber warfare is another big one, targeting critical infrastructure. And ongoing sabotage, like we reportedly saw at Natanz.
But Iran isn't exactly defenseless here. What are their strengths, their potential responses?
Well, that's the crucial counterpoint. Sources highlight their missile arsenal, apparently the largest in the Middle East. We're talking over 3,000 ballistic missiles, different ranges. That's a serious deterrent.
And their network of proxies.
Exactly. Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, various militias in Iraq. They can project power regionally through them. And crucially, those nuclear sites aren't easy targets. Many are buried deep underground, heavily hardened.
So retaliation options. What are we realistically talking about? Closing the Strait of Hormuz comes up a lot.
Yeah, that's the big one economically. It affects, 20% of global oil shipments? Major disruption. Then there's the potential for rocket attacks on U.S. bases, say, in Iraq.
Or activating Hezbollah's arsenal against Israel.
Yeah.
That's a massive number of rockets, isn't it? Something like 150,000?
That's the reported figure, yeah. It would be devastating for Israel. So Iran has options, powerful ones, even if their conventional forces have limitations.
Let's zoom out a bit. The key players. Israel, the U.S., what are their potential motivations here, according to the analyses?
Well, for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, some sources suggest his political survival might be linked, at least partly, to taking a very hard line on Iran, maybe even confronting them directly.
In the U.S., it seems more complex.
It does. They seem to be trying to walk a line between deterring Iran and avoiding a wider conflict. You mentioned those indirect talks in Oman recently that suggests there are back-channel efforts happening, trying to de-escalate perhaps. It's a balancing act.
So it really brings us back to the central question. Is Ritter right? Is this imminent danger, or is it, overblown, alarmist?
It's incredibly difficult to say definitively, isn't it? The risk of miscalculation is undeniably high. You have Iran enriching uranium closer than ever to weapons-grade levels.
And Israel repeatedly stating they won't allow a nuclear Iran. It's a volatile mix.
Absolutely. So even if Ritter's specific prediction of an imminent large-scale strike doesn't happen tomorrow, the underlying danger, the potential for things to spiral, that's very, very real. The consequences of a major conflict would be catastrophic for the region and probably beyond.
Exactly. It highlights the fragility of the situation. So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe the question isn't just whether Ritter is right about the timing. Maybe it's also about thinking. What are those deep-seated dynamics constantly pushing things towards confrontation? And, more importantly, what could actually work to pull things back from the brink? What steps could genuinely de-escalate? That's the crucial takeaway, really. Looking beyond the immediate headlines to the fundamental issues. Something important for all of us to consider. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.